Ministry Network's monthly podcast. Our goal is to engage in conversations affirming that youth ministry looks a million different ways in a million different places and with a million different experiences. Well, it's good to be with you guys. This is Jessica Noonan from Texas, and who's with me today?
Hey, it's Veronica Brito from Philadelphia, PA.
With her new voice. She's a little under the weather, friends, but it's okay. We love it.
It's good to be with you. This is Alex LaChapelle from the Upper Peninsula in Marquette, Michigan.
Oh no, stop.
We're just gonna do voices tonight, everybody. So it's good to be with you. No, yeah, Veronica, I'm so sorry.
Okay, Alex is doing the whole podcast by himself. He's just gonna do all the voices.
Let's hear from Jessica. Oh, hello, everybody. Jessica Noonan here. Yeah, just y'all be Texas. Um,
Y'all be Texas.
y'all
Yes, that's
be
exactly how I sound. You got it.
Wait, which one was talking? You don't know. If you're listening right now, you are flummoxed at the two
Basically.
other two Jessicas on this podcast. Uh well, we are very sorry. Veronica is a little under the weather. We're thankful that she's still gonna be here to help us along, but you
Yes.
know, I love it. I think this is the season as we start to buck up, everything starts to get faster and faster. Right now, I'm staring at, agendas for what am I going to do with my family for Thanksgiving? What are we doing for Advent? What are we doing for Christmas? What are we doing for New Year's? And the gas pedal's getting pressed. The churches are asking questions. My family's asking questions. And yet all I want to do is sit in the season of Advent. So I guess my question for you, as people who have been in the church for a long time, both like as a child, as a person in the now, what does Advent mean to you? What has it meant to you? Has it changed or has it always been the same thing for y'all?
Hmm, good question. Go ahead,
Well,
Veronica.
Advent for me means I'm definitely thinking of, the as far as in the church, the colors change that you see, you have the Advent wreath that you're lighting and different color candles and different kind of songs. Um, and then at home, sometimes I'll get a advent calendar or I try to do things that are more people centered because oftentimes it's just a lot of going like you said, going getting gifts and running around. But I like to do things like one-on-one with people. So if there's a senior in my church or something, I'll say, "Oh, do you want to go to lunch or something?" And they'll be like, "For what?" I'm like, "Oh, just just to spend time together. It's getting darker earlier, and just want to spend that special time together." But I think for me, Advent is a time most people are revving up, and I'm kind of slowing down. So
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
know if that's what everyone is called to do, but that's what I feel can be my gift to the world is help people to slow down a little bit.
Mhm.
What about you, Jess?
Yeah, I love that. That was one of the things I had written down was that Advent has always been a time, I feel like, of recentering. Um, it's that the preparation, but it's the preparation in not the busyness, but the preparation kind of our hearts and minds. And I didn't grow up going to church, so our Advent traditions are ones that we built once we started having kids.
Nice.
And so actually, if we were on video, you would see on the tall bookshelf behind me are some of our Advent wreaths that we've made over the years.
You're making your
Um,
own Advent wreath?
yeah, I'm gonna share about that in a little bit, but
What?
yes. Alex is very excited by this. Um, but yeah, I mean, like just that time, usually we would do it after dinner and, the lighting of the candles to do our prayer practice, a devotion, have conversation. Um, because we really try hard at our house to have dinners together. And these days, sometimes it's dinner at 9 o'clock. which is not my favorite. But things change as the kids are different ages and we're in different seasons of the year or life. So yeah, I don't know. How about you, Alex? What do you think about when you think of Advent?
Well, as a kid, it was the Advent wreath. It was the world's
Mm,
cheapest, crummiest chocolate somehow was purchased by my family and put into small box squares
they're
for
really
me
gross.
to
Yeah.
daily open and go, maybe this one will be better. Nope.
Nope.
Um, I think you know, I was taught as a young child that Advent was pre-Christmas. And even when I went to church, I went to a Lutheran, grade school, so we were taught that it was this Christmas prep. And so even our Advent services would be like, let's give you caricatures of people that were involved in the Christmas story.
Hmm.
And then it wasn't until I got into seminary or started doing some more like youth work in churches who really took Advent seriously that someone started saying things like, well, I mean, look at those readings though, Alex. Like, we don't really touch Christmas barely until the fourth Sunday. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's all Christmas all the time. And they go, well, the first Sunday is like kind of all about the second coming of Christ. And then weeks 2 and 3 usually kind of sit around the John the Baptist and like the advent of Jesus' arrival into humanity as the Christ the man, coming out the waters, being identified by John. Then you get the Annunciation, things like that. And then even getting like people pointing at the Magnificat. Although my new hot take is the Magnificat is actually Elizabeth's song. Think about it, process it.
Ooh.
But it's these ideas that all of a sudden someone was like, Advent is not Christmas. And I was like, what? No, Advent is pre-Christmas. Like if you would look up in the
Yeah.
dictionary, Advent would say pre-Christmas. Now, Advent, hands down, favorite time of the year. Try to challenge myself to slow down. Try to challenge myself not to buy into Christmas. And of course, I'm probably with so many other people getting sucked into, are you coming to the Christmas party? Should we do Christmas earlier and earlier and earlier?
Hmm.
Families saying things like, what if we do Christmas 2 weeks early because then we can do this, 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 and this. And I'm like, I don't want to celebrate Christmas with you like on the 14th of December. Not because I don't love you, but because I'm all Advent right now.
Because
Like,
you're celebrating my birthday that day. That's what you're doing.
oh my goodness. Like, y'all remember the 14th. You'll be at church. So when you're
Yeah.
hailing up those prayers, say one for one, Jess Noonan, and say a whole prayer for the state of Texas, which is her.
Well,
Um, and
we won't
she
go
is
into any of
Texas.
that, but
She is Texas, y'all.
oh
Uh,
gosh.
but no, but I think so obviously it sounds like we have this separation. Do you think it's important to teach families and youth and children that Advent and Christmas are separate when they're coming into it going like, we got the coolest Advent calendar and it's really all like pre-Christmas entertainment
Hmm.
and they're trying to get parties and they're looking for when are they going to show the Grinch and when are they going to be able to see Rudolph and when is Santa coming? Like how do we as the church not like become curmudgeons, Christian curmudgeons that are like, don't you say Christmas until the 24th? Versus being like, I get that you love Christmas and I love it too, but also can we dive into the depth of mystery and waiting and like slowing down?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Actually, Lent's my favorite season. I know that's weird, but that's another right. This season, I know Alex is giving me a thumbs down, but I love it, and you won't change my mind.
I know it's
Um,
second best to Advent.
second best
Second
Advent.
best.
Yeah, and I think both of those times, right, these seasons in our church year, which I think is such a wonderful part of our tradition, right? Because we're in the Bible Belt here in Texas, and that's Advent and Lent aren't always a thing in all the churches down here, right? And so I think that's unique to us, and I think it's a real gift that we can teach people in the midst of this season about the things that you talked about, Alex, about mystery, about waiting, about anticipating, and a time to slow down a little bit and to recenter. Um, on this weight that we have, right? This weight for Jesus. And it's a time I always loved because when I was in the congregation, the last several years I was on staff, we did these workshops. And I don't know if I've talked about this before because I'm old and I can't remember what I've said, but I'll say it again. Maybe somebody else will hear it. we did, we would do something called Faith Together workshops. And when we started them, it was intentionally for families with young kids. And then we started to do one for the families with younger kids and then families with older kids. And then the adults were all upset because they didn't, the ones whose kids were flown and grown, or maybe they didn't have kids. And so we started doing Faith Together for all ages. And what it would be at the beginning of the season of Advent, and we would do it for Lent too, there would be a coming together and we would share a meal. We would do a project together and it would be something they would then use during the season of Advent, with a devotion or with a prayer practice. And so that's why I have all those Advent wreaths, because I would come up with ideas and then tell my husband, who loves me so much, and would make like 50 Advent wreaths or 75 Advent wreaths that were shaped like stars that you put together. They were kind of like a puzzle, and you
Yeah.
would put it together week by week, and light the candles, or yeah, or traditional one. But anyways, it was always centered around how can we do something that equips families that they can practice at church and then take home and do together, so that it's not right just up to Sunday morning, but it's something that they can do while at home and together. And as a parent, I think it's still so helpful, um, when our churches can help give us these tools, right? That can teach us how to do these things at home, because it's still right. It's still the primary caregivers are the ones who are passing on faith. And maybe that's mom and dad, maybe it's dad and dad, maybe it's grandma, maybe it's their aunt and uncle, right? You don't know. But man, as much as we can do these things, it's so important and it's so appreciated. I think of all the things that I did in congregational ministry, it was the things where we equipped parents, um, that made the most difference.
Yeah. Well, and I
How
think,
about you guys? Yeah, how
well,
about you guys?
I think too, like when somebody talks about faith, we are training, I think, outside of our churches and outside of maybe our family groups to say things like, don't don't talk about politics, things like that. Don't talk about faith. It's the spaces, but talking about your faith, I think, is a really important piece of the conversation, and to challenge yourself to speak about faith. Maybe not that evangelical, try to get a lady on a bus to believe in Jesus, but definitely tell your faith story to your like family and friends, and like actually engage that storyline to the people that really would like to hear your version and your take. Because especially like when I think about like those faithful moments, I have this uncle that we didn't see a ton, and I just remember once in a while he would ask me a faith-based question, and I'd be like thrown to the ground a little bit, like, well, why would he ask me this? And then I would respond like hesitantly, even as a kid going to school for theology. And then you'd go, that's really cool. I think this. And then all of a sudden we'd be off to the races for like a 1 hour conversation about faith. And then, we'd move into other stuff like sports and things that we talked about more often. But I remember that hour as one of the most poignant hours of our existence together. And I think that I try to make sure that I once in a while bring that in to my friendships, into my family circles, and things like that. And so I think you're right on where there's a parent that never ever told their kid how much their faith actually mattered. And I think this
Mm-hmm.
season allows that, especially if you can do some good basic questions, something that they can take home and say, take it into the Sunday evening or take it into the week, where, yeah, here's a small question, a simple question, right?
Yeah.
Not explain the universe, but more so like, what does waiting look like? Or how do you find patience in your life? Or what do you hope for? These are things that we're always processing a little bit. Sometimes it's, I hope the Brewers win a World Series, but more than that, it's, I hope that I make a difference in the life of the young people I work with. I hope that my godson knows what I expect from him, both as a young man and as somebody who's growing in their faith. Like those conversations where like maybe I just forget to say it. So maybe I give myself a prompt. Maybe I give my family, my friends a prompt by saying, "Hey, y'all want to answer a question together?" And be able to push yourself in those directions.
Mm.
I agree. I think when I think about Advent and the when you talked earlier, Alex, about the readings that come during that season, I think to go through the weekly readings with your family to talk about what does it mean to you, and even if you're not provided anything specifically from your pastors, or you don't want to just look online for anything, a good place to start would be to encourage parents to look over the readings each week and talk
Mhm.
and
Yep.
have a set of questions where you sit down with your young people and you talk about what does it mean to wait. Now, we know John the Baptist knew who his cousin was, but he still had to wait before he just start blurting it out. He didn't come out as a toddler talking about Jesus Lord, he had a
Mhm.
waiting period. And there was a time that it came to be. And so coming up with questions for your young people on those Bible lessons each week, those readings, would be a good way to start if you're new in youth ministry, or if you have your own children and you're like, well, the pastor is not, I don't really have any tools. A lot of part of reading the Bible or thinking about faith happened in small living rooms.
Mhm.
That's how, the church was started, in having these conversations in your living room with the people you cared about. So I think this is the time to do that. And I would love to see more of those table conversations around the dinner table, or around, you know, um, around the hearth, as opposed to like, oh, give me them nasty chocolates out that Advent calendar chocolates. And another thing I think, and I'm losing my voice, but is to maybe have a shared Advent playlist. I always found that having a playlist, and you guys know all the different music thing. I don't want to give anybody free advertising, okay? So,
Spotify, let's go.
oh no, no, no. But anytime you can have a shared playlist with the young people in your life, and invite them to add songs that talk about waiting, or talk about being prepared,
Yeah.
or talk about what do you do while you're waiting.
Well, and
One song that really speaks to me is by Gregory Porter. If you all want to look up this song, is called Take Me to the Alley. And he's a jazz musician, but it's a really good song, and it's kind of about Christmas, but it's about what we do in the time before Christmas. I
mm,
mean, it would make a really good Advent playlist song. So if you want to listen to that song and think about young people, think about the music they like. Is there a song that they've heard that makes them think about waiting and about anticipation and things? So that's what I would say would be good if you don't have any tools. But of course, we have tools to share with you through the Youth Ministry Network, Martin's List, and just different authors we've had, and professional development sessions,
Mhm.
and
yeah.
then the Connect Journal. But outside of all of that, if you feel totally like, I want to start tomorrow, I don't have time, you can start in the most simplest of ways, by having those conversations. So that's what I wanted to share.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Yeah. What are other resources, Alex? Are there ones that you have like our go-to ones? Like,
Well, and I was, like I think you said something really great that I think one of the things people have been telling me too is just not only saying like add to the list, but prompts to the list or prompts to the group chat. Maybe you are somebody who has the kids on Snapchat or has all your kids on those pieces of a group chat or a family chat, or maybe you are a family chat. I used to love when I was in South Africa. One of my one of my volunteers used to love to say things like, "Hey everybody, good morning. Anybody got something that they're excited about today?" And I remember the first time it happened, I was like, "I don't have time for this." And then we all started chiming in, and then all of a sudden, I just got excited because it meant that people started doing it. It wouldn't just be her. It was now all of my volunteers had different moments where when they were feeling down, rather than being like, guys, I feel sad, they would just engage the group with like a question. Hey, anybody excited for anybody doing this? Anybody thinking about this? What's something that you're missing from home? Like we would just start using these like prompts as chats and it would kind of enliven. And so, especially in the season of waiting and hoping, like you can even say things like, "What's something you waited for and it was worth the wait?" And then all of a sudden, like, see if you can get some people to like throw an idea out, or somebody give me their song that they use to get themselves excited about the day. Now all of a sudden, it's like everybody's pump up song, and you go like, "What's everybody's song when they're waiting for a hard moment?" And all of a sudden it's like these playlists could become even seasonally appropriate to a couple of those different emotions that Advent brings, and that waiting and that wondering and that mystery. And all of a sudden you go, not only do we create a playlist of just Advent, but like Advent seasonal effectiveness kind of things. And so just being able to like put some of those ideas out as well. Um, you know, Advent always seems to lend itself to gift giving, uh, and definitely gift receiving. But I wonder too, just how do you also challenge yourself to be a church that's like waiting but also building, right? And that's I think what you're talking about with those wreaths, but also like what can you do in those four, Sundays of Advent to maybe build something up. Maybe it's that you're collecting food, or maybe you're collecting clothes or things like that. You can do it as a youth group, you can do it as a family group, you can do it as a church, but being able to offer some of those insights of like in the waiting, in the hoping, we're going to gather. You said you like Lent so much, Jess, and I think that Lent is so beautiful because it preps us for something. We don't actually just wait sadly for the death of Jesus and the resurrection. We prepare, right? We read stories and we read scriptures that remind us of the Jesus who was doing. And I think that in Advent, we don't read stories that suggest the Jesus that is doing, but also the different Advents of Jesus' arrival. And I wonder sometimes if we
Mm,
can use that to have those conversations and say, what is it? Tell your birth story, tell your, coming out story. And that can mean a million different things, coming out of college, coming out to your family, the first time that you emerged into a world where you felt like an adult. Like you can tell those stories of Advent. And then, yeah, what is that second coming? What is the advent of Jesus coming? What does it mean? What is your faith? What is the resurrection? So being able to like embrace those conversations and build on it. And play in the dark. I think Advent is perfect for like doing stuff at night, lighting candles, because like out here, it's been dark since 5. So, you get
time
done
to
with
go to
the
bed.
yeah, I mean that's what
It's
it
like
feels like.
midnight outside. I'm like, okay, it's time to go to bed. It's like 6:30.
I just want to sleep all the time. It's hard to get up. It's dark when I wake up. It's dark when I go to bed. It's just, and I think that it's really important to like find those ways where you let darkness be a gift.
Hmm.
Let darkness and silence be a gift. Use fire, use candles. Find the carols that you forget about. Everybody knows Jingle Bells and everybody knows like Joy to the World, but like, it came upon a midnight clear has some really beautiful
Mm,
darkness imageries that you can use, celebrate Blue Christmas in the longest night, like those things on the 21st, that allow you to like be aware of like the season
mm,
of like darkness asks you to sit back.
yeah.
Darkness asks you to slow down because literally the universe is saying you don't have as much time as you will have in the summer. Like the
Mm,
summer will kick hard, almost like the resurrection, to be like, when you have this knowledge of the Jesus who has risen, like go, go, go. But this
mm,
Advent is almost like, while you wait for the birth of Christ, what if I asked you to slow down a little bit? What if I asked you to rest your body? For the journey we are about to partake is going to require the strength. So while you wait, what if you just
mm.
prepare? So,
I love it. Giving all your knowledge to us, Alex.
Yeah, that was the voice from the tram when you're about to when you're about to get to the station.
you've
That's
reached
what that voice
Oval
was.
V Station. Make sure you step off the tram before others enter. And I think, use
I liked how you mentioned Blue Christmas and The Longest Night. And I've had some success having some sessions online, because it is a long dark night. So I found that when I had it in person, not as many people came, but when I had something, just quickly on Zoom or something, just kind of like whoever wants to come, I found that to be very meaningful. And people had in their own homes candles. And, I would say bring your candle to your Zoom screen, and I found that to be a meaningful Advent tradition. And I would encourage people to look into it. I mean, you can call it longest night service or you can call it Blue Christmas. It's kind of up to you. Um, but I found it to be very meaningful for people who are having some sadness around the season. So it's a chance for them to reflect and to prepare and to find a little bit of hope in that the night is always darkest before, but the day always comes the next day.
yes.
Mhm.
So I found that people did. It was mostly older people, but some young people kind of took hold of it. And, especially as people are starting to lean more into, discovering their own mental illnesses or things that they're challenged with. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel lonely, and as the church, it's our job to let people know it's okay. But also sit with them in that silence and to say, we're here with you. And if you need more help than we can give, we can help you find that help as well. So I think it speaks a lot to what people are experiencing, especially in this post pandemic world. There's just a lot of people who are lonely and they're not saying it. They're not telling other people that they are, but they experience a lot of hurt around that and they end up withdrawing even more. So I would say if you have interest in having a longest night service or a Blue Christmas, it's usually I think it's like December 21st or somewhere around there.
Perfect. That's the 21st.
Um, I would encourage you to do it, even if it's small and online, and then see where people are and see if it can expand over time. But that is something that I've experienced has worked well with teenagers as well because they experience loss all the time. And we just don't acknowledge that. We'll say, oh, you find new friends. We're not acknowledging that maybe they just lost their best friend.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're like, oh, you'll find new friends. It's like because we have been there, but we want to empathize with our young people. And because for them, it could be feel like the end of the world. So that I just wanted to give a little advertisement for Blue Christmas, the longest night service. So.
Mm.
Yeah, to wrap up, like how is there something you want to end with that like you're waiting for, hoping for, as this will come out, it'll be just a few more weeks until we dive into full Advent. I'll be honest, I started a 7 week Advent this year, so we start Advent on Sunday. I'm stoked. It's gonna be more
Okay.
more blue, more waiting, 7 candles. So it's but what's something like what's your wrap up here? What's this year's Advent calendar gonna be, Jess?
Um,
What's the husband creating in the workshop?
well, he hasn't done that in a while. So I don't know. That was when I was still in the congregation.
Thought he was just making
Um,
them.
Well, just get it off the shelf. Say
I
Advent
know.
instead of Elf on the shelf. Got Advent on the shelf.
Yeah, we always have one. Yeah, we always have one. And last year we did like the more traditional ones. So we might use one of our more like the one it's shaped like a star and it's
Cool.
so each of the four outer pieces are the four candles and then the center one, right, on Christmas. And so we might break out that one and do something a little different this year. But yeah.
Nice. Um, I think for me, every time we do Advent, I always try to figure out like what's the storytelling vibe. And so I actually grabbed a book. I threw my headphones off for a hot second. The Book of Belonging. I think I've talked about it before, Bible stories for kind of contemplative kids. Last year, I tried to pull stories about strong women that Mary might have relied on their story to help her in the midst of her trying to understand what was going to happen, what was happening. And the other one is The Way of the Wolf is a book with a couple different stories. And there's a story called Barrington Bunny about a bunny who's trying to find purpose on Christmas in the midst of the darkness and the cold. And I adore these books, and they're heavy. Barrington Bunny is not an easy story to hear, but it was read to me on a mission trip in college, and I haven't never forgotten it. And so I think this might be the year that Barrington Bunny reappears at a longest night service, and it seems to be the right season for my own existence, as I think I've done a lot of the wow, where are my people? And it's like, oh, they're gone, but they're not forgotten.
That's great. I think what I want to do this year, just after having our conversation, is I want to try to connect with some of our young adults on social media. I have a account and I see sometimes they like some of my stuff. And I like their pictures and stuff while they're at college and just starting out life. And so what I like to do is utilize my social media and probably the church's social media to start some of those conversations. And it's a lot of work because you have to remember to put the prompts in and photos go with it. So I think I want to commit to doing something at least daily that prompts someone to think about the questions that we lifted here about waiting, hoping, preparing, and even give suggestions like, oh, click and read this article or a recommendation like the Book of Belonging, recommend that or something like that. So I think to engage in that way and not feed into the uh, Christmas craze, as I call it, or the elf on the shelf or the advent calendars and things. I think just to have a thinking advent, a contemplative advent.
Mm.
So I think that's what I want to do. I'm going to challenge myself, not for 7 weeks, Alex. I need to wait to the
Think
official. What's
about
the official first day? I'll start on that day.
that would be November 30th is Advent 1.
Okay, then I'll start November 30th.
All right.
Guys,
Uh,
check me out. Follow me online.
Before we go, can I give you all a few announcements and reminders? Registration for Extravaganza 2026 is open. This is the gathering of adults who serve in children, youth, and family ministries in the ELCA. It's 4 days like Advent, of great learning, spiritual renewal, and connection with colleagues who do the same work you do. Go into the E will strengthen your congregation's ministry. The 2026 event will be in St. Louis, Missouri from January 30th to February 2nd. You can get more info at ext26.org. See you there. Don't forget to take a look at the network's Connect Journal. The journal publishes new articles roughly every 2 weeks that help you to think, wonder, and dream about your congregation's ministry. We have two different series releasing right now. The first is a series of articles with the learnings coming from the Formation Co-op. The second is a series of articles on how we process mission trip experiences with young people. You can find them at www.connectjournal.org. Thanks to all who are members of the network. Your membership makes things like Third Tuesday Conversation, Oasis Connect Journal, Information Co-op, and Martin's List, and Extravaga, and much more possible. If you're not a member of the network, we encourage you to join. Our memberships are what make all of this possible. We're grateful to be a community that cares for this ministry. Thanks so much for listening. New podcasts will be released on the third Tuesday of every month. Be sure to like and subscribe so you receive them as they come out, and share with your friends. And finally, thanks to Paul Amlin, the 3TC producer, for his work. He is the best of us. Have a great week, and look for our next episode being released on the third Tuesday next month. This is Alex LaChapelle signing off.
Veronica Brito saying, have a good day, everyone.
And Jessica Newton. We'll catch you next time, friends.
Bye, y'all, from Texas.